Alrighty, welcome to a round one review for Supercoach 2021. I am so glad football is back. But before we jump into it, let's take a moment of silence for poor Matty Rowell. The kid just loves football. He's had some of the best 3 or 4 games ever played, and then back-to-back injuries. It's just insane how unlucky he is. Really hoping that what Stewie Jew is saying about it only being, 3 to 4 week maybe injury, they're just being precautionary and it not being something bigger, because I just want to see him get out there and play. But yeah, it was great to have footy back. The rules really have changed the game, both in kind of scoring, a lot more close games as well, which may have just been fortunate, but yeah, really opened up games, allowed teams to have comebacks, lots of upsets this round as well, and it's also changed Supercoach scoring and which players are doing better and worse. So let's jump into it. My team did pretty well. I'm pretty happy. I mean, anytime I think you're in the top, 10 to 20,000 after round one, you're definitely in striking distance for a really, really good finish. So I'm super pleased with where I am. If we jump into the team, let's have a look. So yeah, I think I've done pretty well on pretty much all the picks. I mean, in terms of rookie starting decisions, having Rowe instead of Carl, that was probably the big miss. That was 67 points, would have been a little bit of jump, but given people missed Goulden or whatever it was, really haven't done too badly. The only rookie I feel like I've missed so far is Jordan. Didn't originally pick him because I was worried about job security, but he just looked like a player when you saw him. When you watched that Melbourne game, he looked like he's going to secure a spot regardless of whether, Viney comes back or whatever it may be. So, it looks like, Carl might turn into him. And it looks like McNeil, that's pretty suspect that he actually gets more games. But yeah, outside of that, I'm really happy. Love all my defenders. Young and Clark both look good. Happy with all the mids. I think Kelly was probably underscored a little bit, but against St Kilda, who is the best at reducing midfield scores, and in the wet it's fine. Brockman wasn't great, but he'll get more games. Hopefully just spike some big scores. And then in the forward line, Impey felt like he was massively underscored as well, which is a bit unfortunate. And Zeeble is a must have at this point. But let's jump into the big issues for this round. So I think there is really a couple of things. So firstly, you should be making a watch list, place you don't have that, surprised you round one. For me, that is Dusty. He had a huge score. Not having him definitely hurts a little bit. I mean, Dunkley's 113 makes up for it a little bit. I think the thing with Dusty, though, was crowd back, big game atmosphere, against a team that he normally or traditionally scores well against. You could kind of see a big score coming. I was thinking it's going to be around 130, so it being closer to 160 hurts. But then, after that point, I have a feeling he's just going to, go back into regular season Dusty, and we'll see his scores taper off a little bit, or at least I'm hoping. But maybe this is another Brownlow year for Dusty, which is really scary for non-owners. The other 3, so Mills, I was pretty suspect that his extra mid-minutes was going to turn into Supercoach points, but I mean, they had a huge upset and he went massive on the back of that, so let's see if he can keep it up. Titch, underdone in the preseason, only got into contact training late, but managed to pump out a 130. Mind you, Essendon was giving him all the room in the world in the back half of the game when it was on the line, so let's just see if he can keep up that form. And then finally, Walsh, kind of surprised with a mid-120 score. The longer quarters seemed to really favour him, where his endurance should shine through in the third and fourth quarter, where you could see other people out on their feet, but he was still running contest to contest. Second big issue is what do we do about Grundy and Gawn? Like many, I had the captaincy on Gawn, and I started the safe Grundy-Gawn combo. This was, really hurt by, I think, the weekly winner, for example, had Flynn, didn't have Grundy. So a lot of people saying hey, if this is what they're going to keep scoring, maybe we should trade one or two of these out now, and get in another premium, get in another, ruck rookie, and kind of roll the dice there. As it stands to me, I don't like this option. I think Hunter and Meek neither of them looked good. I think Hunter's going to lose his job as soon as they've got Rucks back. And Meek didn't look particularly great outside of a little bit of the opening quarter, and then he was just non-existent. Treaky, who's suspended now but kicked 7 goals in the NEFL practice match, they're going to call him up, I think, as soon as they can, and they'll be looking to get Darcy back. So yeah, I don't know. I'm not so sure about Nick. So downgrading either of them to one of those playing rookies doesn't feel so great to me. So the other option then is you could get like a loophole, like a Combin, or you could go Treaky early on Treaky, which I'm like also not a big fan of. I think this is a year where you've got some rookies that are pretty suspect depending on who you've got. Like Brockman doesn't seem great. McNeil doesn't seem like he's going to hold a spot. Some of these others are going to be slow burns. And then at the same time, like, some of the ones I don't have that people picked up, like Sharp, doesn't look like he's going to hold his spot. So I'm really not in favour of getting a loophole over just getting extra cash at the moment. I think the 50, 60, 70, 100 points generously that you kind of pick up off that loophole isn't worth the cash gen that I'm hopefully going to get elsewhere. I think one other thing to keep in mind with like Flynn's massive score, a couple of things. Like people worried that Gawn and Grundy can't go big, and if Flynn can go 140, then these guys can both go big. Things to note for that game: GWS in that game there was 89 clearances. So for reference, Gawn's game had 62 clearances. So Flynn had 40% more clearances in his game. And then I think Grundy had 70 clearances. So like once again, Flynn had 30% more. If you add 30 and 40% more clearances onto Gawn and Grundy's game, they look much better. Gawn was actually pretty good after the first quarter. He was running pretty hard, didn't seem to have any issues. It was just mainly wasn't getting used. Ball kind of just, wasn't where he was, which is a little bit unfortunate. But I think like it didn't look like Gawn was playing particularly bad or anything like that. He still had lots of really nice taps to Oliver, for example. So yeah, I'm not kind of worried about him as a pick. And once again, he's coming up still against like Flynn and Hunter. I mean, if Flynn got a 140 off Hunter, who knows what Gawn could do. And then on Grundy, look, like obviously not a great start. It didn't look amazing. And, they were like going on about footage of him walking and whatnot. But it was one of those situations where it was like tag team, 2 rucks against 1 type deal, which is always going to hurt in this type of setting. And then I think like the Bulldogs midfield, like they absolutely sharked every hit out Grundy had. There was so few hit outs to advantage for him. It just feels like one of those down games that's just confluence of factors. Flynn kind of outperformed. I think Hunter gave away like 4 frees to him, so we got like all these free kick clearances with big long kicks, like crazy. So I think like this scoring is going to change a little bit. One other thing to note, like Gawn had a 93 in 2020 and a 87 in 2019 to open the 2 rounds, so as bad or worse than his current score, and then went on to average 140 and 120 over the full year. Grundy had a 91 in 2019 and a 95 in 2018, and then went on to manage 130 for the full year after both those scores. So it's not uncommon for these two to do a bad score round 1, everyone freak out, and then actually turns out they're fine. It was kind of just a blip on the radar. So if you are looking at trading one of these and you have no other rookie corrections to make, I would still be waiting another week just to make sure that this makes sense. I think it's really high risk, high reward, but I know I'm going to need to trade probably one of these to Jordan, and maybe I need to do another rookie correction. I'm just not a big fan of this strategy. And then the only other thing to talk about, the 2 premiums that, people unfortunately started and really got stuffed on. So Dangerfield and Rowell. So if you're a Dangerfield owner, I think it's pretty easy decision, especially if he's out for 3 weeks. You can kind of do this trade now. I wouldn't be, if it was 3 weeks and it was during upgrade season, you just hold Danger. But you can actually get out of him pretty easy now. Like the reasons why me and many other people I speak to weren't on him was like 31 years old, groin injury, like problems through the preseason. Said he was still a couple of weeks off proper match fitness, and this is just the cherry on top. So Dunkley is still my number 1 option. Otherwise, can't go wrong with Dusty Martin. If you have both of those for whatever reason and Danger, like Titch in the midfield was one that you could look at. Otherwise, make sure you have some of these like good mid-price options. Like if you don't have Zeeble, it's annoying to float the cash, but it looks like he's a must-have at the moment. I know he scores inflated because McDonald was in the team, but actually looked pretty good. His 1-on-1 defense wasn't great, but otherwise quite good down back. And then Rowell. So Rowell's really unfortunately priced for many, like $4.90. So unless you've got enough cash in bank to go to someone like Cripps, which didn't look great, or Walsh, which maybe is a slightly better option. It's 50k. Not too many people have Rowell 50k in the bank. You're looking at then going down to someone like Taranto, which, like, it is an okay option. He scored well on the weekend. I didn't think he played particularly well, but, like goals and a couple of clutch possessions kind of helped him get over the line. Otherwise, I think you're looking at, maybe using some DPP with Rowell and finding someone like Phillips or Caldwell or Stevenson, who was the surprise packet, was on the ball, 33 touches, was actually kind of amazing. Phillips was a little bit underwhelming. Caldwell, got a lot of it. His DT score was well into the hundreds, but it was just a massive butcher. Hopefully he can clean that up. So, so if you can't upgrade Rowell, I think, Taranto, or you're looking at Phillips, Caldwell, or Stevenson. Or once again, like if you haven't got someone like a Zeeble, then you probably need to go there. Like Clark and Young looked okay. I'm not sure if I'd necessarily be like targeting Clark, but I'm not disappointed with the pick as of right now. I think those are all the big decisions for round one. But my overarching message to everyone freaking out about whatever picks I have is like, hold as gold, right? Trades are really valuable. We normally place the value at about 150k. So I wouldn't be doing things like blowing up the premiums that you were set on in the preseason. I've done stuff in the past. Like I think I traded out Brayshaw after round one last year just because we got given the extra trades, and it was like one of the worst moves I've ever made in Supercoach. So definitely wait for next week, and I'd still be prioritizing fixing up rookies over trying to introduce risky ruck strategies, because I just don't think it's going to work. But if you have any specific team questions, any players you want me to kind of talk about, please let me know. I'm thinking of doing a film review of a certain player if AFL Stats Pro was working this year. Maybe looking at like Mills, given I didn't get to watch West Coast Sydney, see what he looked like in the midfield and whether or not he's someone we need to keep an eye on. Let me know what you think. Let me know how you did, and good luck for week 2.